DBSCG things.
What's up, Yuhp gang? It's your boy Texan, and welcome back to Yuhp DBSCG Things, and today we're going over another very exciting deck profile, guys. This is going to be the deck that went undefeated at our last locals. This is Aegis Gogeta. But before we get into it, guys, I do want to say if you guys want any custom mats and or sleeves, absolutely check out promats, guys. This is the best place to go get your custom card needs, and if you guys do decide to get a mat for them, make sure you use the promo code Yuhp to save on your entire order. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed this list or my content in general, remember to hit all those buttons for me, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. With that being said, let's turn it around and check out the list.
Alrighty, you guys, here's the deck. Now let's go ahead and go over it. As usual, always starting off with the leader. You have a permanent negate the energy exhaust skill of all your blue-yellow multicolor Saiyan cards in all areas. You have the awesome activate main, which is add up to one card from your life to your hand, and then top 5 search for a blue or yellow Saiyan. No cost restriction, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. That is very broken. Being able to search your secret rare turn 1 with this deck is absolutely nuts. Your awakens at 5 or less, you get to draw 2 cards, flip over, you cannot ramp for the game, can't place cards into your energy, so things like Zeno, Unison's locked off, Zeno super combos locked off, the 4 cost, Android 21 ramp, Z card is locked off anyways. Backside, you retain the same exact permanent, negate the energy exhaust skills, and then you have auto. When you attack, you draw a card, and then you get the option to add up to 1 life as well on attack, which is really really good because your Z Awaken is at 3 or less, so if you're ever in a situation where you want to offensively Z Awaken, if you're at 4, you can swing, draw, take yourself to 1, and then go into your Z leader during the battle step. Then you also have this pretty nifty activate main that you do manage to use actually quite often. Once per turn, you get to pay 1 blue, draw 1 card, and then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less and return to the owner's hand. A lot of the times you won't have a card that you want to put back to your opponent's hand, so more than likely you're going to pay 1, draw 1. But if there is like a Z card with no protection or any 4 or less with no protection that you just want to hit with this, definitely a good way to get rid of it. Anyways, going into the deck now, diving into our generic blue stuff off the rip. 4D magic, negate the attack, untap 2. Not too much to say about that card, pretty standard in most blue decks. 4 Sensu Bean, tap 1, untap 2, 5k for the turn, pretty standard most blue decks. We're running 1 absolute release ball and 1 frost deadly poison. This is mainly to stop floodgates. This can stop floodgates as well, but more than likely you're going to hold this for those secret rares that don't have any protection. Things like Evil Saiyan, very good. This also very good against your own secret, things like that. So, not too shabby if I do say so myself. If you're at 3 or less when you use it, you get the untap energy as well, so it only actually costs 2. This is a good way to trigger your 8 drops as well. If you're ever in a situation where you don't have like a Boo online, or you don't have like your Dimension Magics or Sensus that you're using at the moment, of course you can counterplay just about, as long as you're at 4 or less, you can counterplay with this, even if it doesn't hit the card and it just untaps an energy, which will then trigger your Gogetas, which is pretty nice. Frost Deadly card's been around since U6 era, back in set 7, so not much to say about that card. Great card. Onto our super combos, we're running 3 Vegeta Discipline Warrior and 1 Zamasu. Honestly, this card could be 4 of. This is just too good. It's searchable in the deck. You go down to 4 super easy in this deck. This should just be 4 of, honestly. The reason I like to play the 1 of Zamasu is because I do run a couple of rival targets, and I do like the option of being able to tap down a leader if my opponent missequences and doesn't attack with it first, so they don't get the draw. So pretty nice there. Also, it helps me into some matchups where the Z leaders are big attackers, like things like Sin Shenron. If they start attacking with their board first, we can rest down the big 20k double strike leader, as well as other things as well. If you're versing a mechie player and it's the turn that they theoretically should be going into their Z leader, they're more than likely supposed to triple attack first. So if they do missequence their turn on the turn that you would think that they're going to do that, if they swing with the battle card first, of course you can rest down the leader. Now they cannot go into their triple attack without losing value, or go into their Z leader without losing value. So with that being said, those are the super combos. Vegeta, simply a better card, but I do like the option of having 1 Zamasu. On to the next, more blue generic stuff. We're running 4 Android 17 Defending Friends. This honestly could go to 3. This deck's so defensive, you really don't need this that many floodgates. But I just like having the card around. I like to be able to charge a couple of them and not feel all too worried about not seeing it when I need it. So everyone knows what Defending Friends does. If your opponent attacks with a battle card, they got a bottom deck 1 card from hand. So now moving into the actual mainstay engine of the deck. Mine's a little big because this is like one of my very first iterations of Gogeta. So we got 4 of that Vegeta. We also have a Goku that essentially does the same thing. Activate main, tap 1 blue on the Goku with yellow. You draw a card and play it, and then you have auto. Same thing on both this and the Goku that I'll show in a second. When it's warped by a Gogeta skill or your Soul Punisher skill, you get to add a Goku with 5k from your deck. So pretty nice. Going with our Vegeta package, we're running 3 copies of Counter Strike. Card could honestly go to 2, but it's pretty good. When you warp this card, essentially this is just fusion target. You're never going to play it for 3, but if you do warp it with your Z Leader effect, your fusion, your Soul Punisher effect, or your fusion pieces, you do get to pay one, play them in bottom deck of 4 cost or less, which is honestly really good because there's a lot of unprotected 4-drops in the format right now. Things like Majin Vegeta, their 4-drops just die to that really easy. Going on to the Goku, this is the Goku that I can't speak right now. This is the Goku that resembles the exact same thing as this Vegeta. Pay 1 yellow, draw a card, play him. If he's removed, grab one of these 2 from the deck. Pretty simple. Going into the next Goku, we're running 3 of the Counter Strikes. This one's simply not as good. When this one gets warped, you get to pay 1 yellow, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, switch it to rest mode, and then play this card from your warp at the end of the turn. If this card played the moment you warped it, this would be a lot better. That way you could rest a card, stop an attack, and then he plays as a blocker, which then would provide you, obviously, 1 energy, 2 attack stoppage, which is really good. Anyways, going into the blue-yellow package, we are rocking out 2 Kefla. This 5-drop is actually extremely good into my aggro matchups. You pay 2 energy, you play this card from your hand, and then when you play it, you get to draw a card. And then, of course, limit 1 auto. If this card is in rest mode, if your opponent attacks a leader card, you get to tap 1 of their energy. So this is one of those cards where it really forces your opponent to either swing into this or forces your opponent to make misplays, essentially. Like if they don't kill this, you get to tap out their energy and stop their aggression, which is really good. Next up, 3 copies of Kefla Lightning Speed, 3 energy, double strike, blocker, really good. On play, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place it at the bottom of the deck. Having mid battle step removal ignoring barrier is absolutely crazy, especially with no cost restriction like this card. Like your opponent could be playing out a big barrier SCR, and like this will just get rid of it. So a card is absolutely phenomenal. Also, it has the additional attacks that if it survives going into your turn after you arrival it, you can activate main, pitch an extra copy, or you can pitch any card, but if you pitch a copy of herself, you'll be able to tap down to one of your opponent's energy, gain dual attack, and draw 2 cards, which is absolutely crazy. Going on to more of the blue-yellow, we have 3 copies of this Son Goku, Premonitions of a Fierce Battle. Just more mid-battle step removal. This guy is going to pay 2, draw a card, play during the battle step. And then, of course, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, switch it to rest mode, and then you get to choose another card, which is a 5 or less, and place it at the bottom of his deck. So, pretty good removal. It's a 25k double striker as well, so if it does live, your opponent does have a pretty big threat that they're going to have to deal with. Stopping 2 attacks for 2, pretty good, especially in a deck where you're untapping 2 endlessly. So, moving on, we have 4 copies of the big 8-drop Gogeta. This guy is absolutely busted. Like, if yellow and red wasn't in the format, this deck would absolutely just run around rampant. So deflect blocker, deflect blocker, double strike, Aegis once per turn, fuse for 2, draw 2 by pitching a Goku and a Vegeta 5k. When he's played, or not when he's played. Wait, I apologize. Let me read this. Yes. When he's played, he can't be removed. So it's a lingering effect. It's not like a permanent like on the SCR that can just get skill negated and then removed. It's a lingering effect so that your opponent literally has nothing they can do about this card for at least 1 turn. And then it also has another effect that when one of your energies switch to active mode by a skill, you get to untap this card and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards or unisons and switch it to rest mode. So essentially, in this deck, if you do get a battle step, if your opponent's not just negating every single attack, if you get a battle step, this guy becomes a 35k dual attack double striker. And then going into your opponent's turn, if he's inactive or if you just have a card in field that's going to untap 1, like Blue Unison or something like that, he then becomes rest a battle card, block 2 attacks, or block 1. Really good card. Next up, Gogeta SCR. Card's crazy. Card's absolutely nuts. He is just a single strike, but he's essentially a dual attack because he has the same exact style effect as this. When an energy's untapped, he untaps, except for his tap down effect. While this one's locked to a unison or battle card, he can tap down energy. So this card is absolutely nuts when you pair it with things like Lightning Kefla. If you slam him down, you have this in field, you pitch one of these, and then, yeah, you just get to tap down 2. You do so much. You do so much. Tap down 2, swing for a bunch of, like, 2 double strikes, a big dual 40. Anyways, this guy does have a permanent. He cannot be removed from your battle area by your opponent's skills. Of course, like I said, this can be skill negated, so because it is a permanent and not just like a lingering effect, the card normally doesn't last that long, but it's still a great card. Anyways, it's really only bad into like red, like I said, and yellow. Yeah. Well, I guess now that duo is going to be gone, like it might be a little bit better. Anyways. When one of your energy is switched to active mode, yada yada yada. I already told you this. Tap down a battle card or unit or energy ignoring barrier. Really good card, dual attack. Moving on from that card, we have a couple 1-ofs and then a couple tech slots for the deck. We have our 1 Overwhelm, Secret ID, Max Saiyan. I just like this card. It gets rid of blockers. It gets rid of wider boards if I'm going against something aggro. It's just a card that I've always enjoyed. I mean, if I had Vegeta, maybe I'd consider playing Vegeta for the extra 5k, but I don't know if it's worth it. Anyways, our next 1-of, we have Majin Buu, Assault of Agents of Destructions. This is one of those cards that you're just like, oh yeah, they're playing blue, they're running 1 of that, so it's a good card. Son Gohan Power Reclaimed, running 1 copy of this guy. Just makes sense to run one of this guy. It's like one of those cards that, like, even if you charge it, your opponent knows that you're running it in the deck, and now they have to respect this card because this is one of those cards that, of course, has some mid-battle step removal along with this card. For 3, he comes out, he gets rid of anything not ignoring barrier, and then he produces a 20k triple attack, which is nice. But also, if you combo him from the field or from your hand and then Z-charge him, you can also pay 1 in bottom deck of 5 or less, which is really good. Going into a couple pieces that I kind of just mainboarded because the way my local's been recently. Like if I could say my local meta in like one simple term, my local meta is Cooler Mill. So with that being said, we have 2 Mechikabura, the Broken Seal, and 2 Koitsukai. These are essentially for the same deck. This can be used against almost anything that has a floodgate or token negates in it, so just absolutely good card to have in your main deck. You don't really need to side this at this point of the meta. You just play these in your main board. Meki, though, this is simply for cooler. There's a couple cards like in other decks that you could call and like it'd stop. Like in this deck, like if I'm in my mirror match, I could use my turn 3 if I'm going second. I could use my turn 3 to pay 2, play this guy, call out Gogeta 8-drop, and now their turn 4 is not going to be one of these guys, which is something that can come up. But most of the time, you're going to slam this guy after playing out one of your big guys and being like, yep, we're calling out big boy, 5-drop cooler, and now half that deck is turned off. So they're going to rely on their things like their Hercule Boo and as well as the 5-drop chilled, which most of the time is not enough to stop you with your big 35 and 40s. Especially if you pair it with Koitsukai. Anyways, everyone knows what Koitsukai does. New errata on it, bottom deck 1, draw 2, stop your opponent from playing stuff 20k or less on your turn. Pretty good card. Last card in the deck. We're running 2 Baby Golden Avenger. This is one of those cards that like you gotta run 2. Like if you don't see this card, you probably just won't win the game because most of the time the way you win with this deck is going in with your triple strike Z leader, which we'll talk about here in a second. So being able to solidify having this on going into your turn 5 just basically means, hey, your opponent's got to have a lot of combo power or else they kind of just lose here. So with that being said, Baby Ape's been Baby Ape for a long time. A lot of people have played that as like a 1 or 2 of them in their blue decks for a very long time. So with that being said, we'll move on to the Z deck, try to make a little bit of room. Good card. Good card. Starting off with the first Z card that you'll probably play within the deck, Soul Punisher. This would be the first card that comes out in your deck almost all the time. This is like your turn 2 play. The best part on this card, like the most efficient skill that you're using like all game, permanent. If your leader is a blue leader card with both Son Goku and Vegeta or a blue Gogeta Z leader card, you can activate your Aegis skills from sending one of your yellow cards and blue cards from your drop to your warp instead of discarding cards from your hand. This is really good because, like I said, you can warp these cards, and then these cards, when you warp them off of this card's effect or your other Aegis effects, like this guy and this guy, these guys do produce other value as well. So it's really, really good. Like to basically just say, hey, I'm going to move these from my drop and then draw 2, which is pretty nice. Just getting an extra free 10k combo power in your hand or your fusion targets for your next turn is really, really good. And then, of course, you have the Activate Battle, in which I was just kind of talking about with the Baby Golden Avenger. You have the Activate Battle, limit 1 for 2 energy. If you have 5 or more energy and a blue Gogeta Z leader is attacking, you remove this card from the game. That Z leader then gets plus 30,000 in triple strike. So it's kind of like one of those I win buttons. You get to turn 5, you swing with your Z leader. Your opponent more than likely tries to negate because this is live. When they do so, you pay 5, activate this, then you activate the effect on your Z leader, which untaps 2, and then you pay 2 for this, which is really, really good. It's like one of the most common lines of play that you see in this deck, so as long as you like have a decent blocker on field, you can probably get around it. With that being said, going on to the Z leader, kind of already talked about him a little bit. He comes out for 1 and 2 Z when you're at 3 or less life. Auto once per turn, when a blue-yellow multicolor Gogeta card is played by a Union skill, you get to draw 1 card and then bottom deck a battle card ignoring barrier. Really broken because with this card, he does nothing on play except for his Union fusion cost is draw 2. So a lot of the times you play him out, he essentially, when he's out, he essentially just nets even in hand because you're pitching your 2 fusion targets, drawing 2 off of that, and then drawing 1 off of that, which would replace himself as well, and then get rid of a card ignoring barrier. And then at some point when you activate one of your Aegis effects and or your Z leader effect to untap 2, you then draw 2 more cards. So you actually do plus 2 if you actually manage to get the untap. Otherwise, it's just a cycle with a big bomb. Anyways, the ignoring barrier removal is absolutely busted. Really, really good. On attack, you draw a card as well. So even on the Z leader, you have the potential to draw 2 cards. Really good. Activate battle once per turn. If it's your turn and you have a Gogeta or a Veku card, both with Aegis skill in play, and you send 1 blue or yellow card from your drop to your warp, you get to untap 2 of your energy. So essentially you have an offensive Aegis skill as long as you have a battle card with Aegis in play, which is this guy, the only card that I run with Aegis, because most of the time the Vekus just aren't that good. So after those 2 cards, which are the kind of mainstays for the Z deck of this Gogeta deck, we kind of got most of our generic blue stuff. Don't need to talk much about it. We got Beerus Area Annihilator. It's Beerus. It's airy. He does things. He gets rid of barrier. He swings 3 times. Cell, we got a board wiper. Dual attack critical. Board wipe, pretty good. Vegito Godly Spirit. This card's been good since Z decks came out. Just like one of the mainstays for blue, I think. If you get to 5 and you play this guy out, barrier, blocker, triple strike, you pair him with things like your leader or things like this card, and it's just a nightmare. The card's really good. With that being said, moving on from that, we have our mirror match winner. Son Goku's Stronger Together. This card's just absolutely really, really good against a lot of decks right now. Like, the moment your opponent gets past 10 cards, you just slam this thing and then you swing the leader, untype your 2. It was just free. So, this card's really, really good. Our last card is Oolong. Oolong Greed is good. Card's great, honestly. Like, when you have a 1 energy dual attack, drawing a blank, SCR, when you have a 1 energy big old bomb SCR, that's 40k, you're more than likely going to follow it up with things like Oolong, which is just absolutely crazy. And also, I like Oolong too because a lot of decks are like using secret rares really early. Like, I've noticed that black decks are trying to push Evil Cumber or Evil Sand on like turn 2, which is like pretty good, don't get me wrong, but like if they don't get rid of it and you can manage to trigger its effect, you can play this out and just copy its effect and swing at it, which is nice. Or copy its power and then swing at it, which is really nice. With that being said, that was the deck, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. If you did, always remember, smash all those buttons for me. I always appreciate it and it lets me know, engage how you guys are enjoying these videos. With that being said, always do so. We will always catch you guys next time.